Let me tell you something about the people who always feel like a burden. They move carefully through life, as if afraid to take up too much space. They apologize before speaking, hesitate before asking, and constantly rehearse sentences in their heads just to make sure they won't sound like a problem. They say, "Don't worry, it's fine," even when it's not. And if you look closely, you'll notice how often they shrink themselves in rooms where they should feel safe. People who feel like burdens rarely arrive at that feeling suddenly. It's something learned, piece by piece, over years. It begins in moments that seem harmless at first. A sigh when they asked for help. A parent's tired expression. A friend who disappeared when they opened up. A life that subtly taught them that their needs are too heavy for others to carry. So they learn to carry everything alone. Psychologists often talk about a pattern called self-silencing. It's when someone suppresses their emotions, their needs, even their opinions, just to maintain peace. It sounds noble, even kind. But it's really a quiet kind of suffering. Because the person who self-silences keeps everyone comfortable except themselves. When you always feel like a burden, your brain turns every act of care into guilt. If someone offers you help, you feel like you're taking something you didn't earn. If someone loves you, you start worrying how long before they get tired of you. Even simple kindness feels like a loan you must repay with silence, obedience, or perfection. You begin to believe that love is conditional, that being easy to handle is the only way to be worthy of it. And this belief slowly eats away at you. It shapes the way you speak, the way you move, the way you exist. You start over-explaining yourself. You apologize for emotions that are completely human. You stay quiet about your pain because you think it will inconvenience someone else. And yet, deep down, there's a quiet ache, a wish to be held without guilt, to be understood without explanation. For many people, this feeling takes root in childhood. Not necessarily through cruelty, but through misunderstanding. Maybe they were the responsible one, the peacemaker, the helper. Maybe they learned early that when they stayed quiet, things went smoother. That when they put others first, they were praised. So they kept doing it, until it became their entire identity. And as they grew older, something else took shape, an invisible rule that said, "If I need help, I'm a burden." So when life gets heavy, they don't reach out. They just smile, say, "I'm fine," and retreat deeper into themselves. They convince everyone they're strong because they don't complain. But inside, they're exhausted, not just from pain, but from pretending it doesn't exist. It's not just emotional. It's psychological conditioning. The mind begins to associate need with danger, as if asking for care could make love disappear. And that's where guilt thrives. You start feeling guilty even when you've done nothing wrong. You feel guilty for taking time, for being tired, for existing in ways that aren't constantly useful. You start equating your worth with productivity, as if rest or dependence were moral failures. And this guilt doesn't just exist in relationships, it seeps into every corner of life. It's why some people can't relax unless everyone around them is okay. It's why they overthink every text, every tone, every silence. It's why they say sorry when someone bumps into them. It's not weakness. It's a trauma response. An internalized belief that peace is something you earn by disappearing. This feeling can also show up in subtle but powerful ways when it comes to independence, especially financial independence. For many young people, especially daughters or those still finding their footing in early adulthood, financial dependence becomes a quiet source of shame. Not because anyone treats them poorly, but because they've learned to measure worth through contribution. They start feeling undeserving of care, even when it's freely given. They feel like they're taking too much money, energy, attention, and giving too little in return. Every meal, every gift, Every bill paid on their behalf turns into another silent weight on their conscience. They might be loved, supported, even cherished, but inside they whisper, "I should be doing more. I should be enough on my own." And that thought alone can break a person more than any harsh word ever could. But here's the truth that so many forget: dependence is not failure. It's part of being human. We are all dependent at different times, emotionally, financially, physically. And needing support doesn't make you a burden. It makes you alive. The ability to receive love, to lean on others, is not weakness. It's the foundation of every real connection. Still, people who feel like burdens struggle to believe that, because their sense of worth was built on self-sufficiency. They'd rather drown quietly than risk being rescued. They tell themselves they're protecting others from their weight, but what they're really doing is protecting themselves from rejection. It's safer to assume you're too much than to find out someone agrees. And yet, this constant self-containment comes with a cost. It isolates you from the very warmth you crave. You start feeling invisible, not because no one cares, but because you've built walls too high for care to reach. You interpret silence as annoyance, distance as proof that you were right all along, that you really are too much. But that's the trick the mind plays when it's been hurt. It mistakes absence for evidence. Psychologically, the feeling of being a burden often connects to something called rejection sensitivity. It's the heightened fear of being dismissed, judged, or unwanted. People who live with this carry invisible scales in their minds, constantly measuring how much space they take up, how much love they're allowed, how long until someone leaves. They rehearse conversations in advance, trying to be light, agreeable, easy. They give endlessly, hoping it'll make them indispensable. But love doesn't work that way. Love built on fear is just survival wearing a smile. So what happens when a person like this tries to heal? At first, it feels wrong. Asking for help feels unnatural. Receiving kindness feels undeserved. Even rest feels guilty. But healing is not about suddenly believing you're enough. It's about slowly learning that you don't have to earn the right to be cared for. That the people who truly love you don't weigh your worth in usefulness. They love you because you're you, tired, unsure, imperfect, and human. And somewhere along the journey, you start realizing that being cared for doesn't make you powerless. It makes you connected. You start to notice that the people you thought you were burdening actually want to help, not out of pity, but out of love. Because when love is real, it doesn't measure costs. It just gives. The truth is, feeling like a burden often comes from a deep, misplaced empathy, the kind that makes you aware of everyone's feelings but your own. You notice when others are tired, when someone's energy shifts, when a mood changes. And you take it personally. You internalize it. You think, it must be because of me. But that's not empathy. That's over-responsibility. And it's not your job to carry everyone's emotions to keep love intact. There's a quiet strength in learning to let people show up for you. In saying, yes, I need help. In allowing yourself to exist without apologizing for it. Because people who truly care about you don't want your silence. They want your truth. They don't see you as a burden. They see you as family, as love, as someone worth standing beside. And maybe that's the hardest part, accepting that you were never meant to walk through life alone. That being supported doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've stopped pretending to be superhuman. At the end of the day, people who always feel like burdens are not broken, they're just too kind, too aware, too afraid of taking up space in a world that often rewards self-erasure. But kindness without boundaries becomes self-destruction. And awareness without self-compassion becomes suffering. You deserve to be seen without having to shrink. You deserve to exist without guilt attached to it. Healing this feeling isn't about becoming fearless. It's about becoming fair to yourself. About remembering that the people who love you want to love you. That being helped isn't a transaction, it's an exchange of trust. That you can be held and still be strong. That you can depend and still have dignity. One day, you'll look back and realize how hard you were on yourself for simply being human. And maybe that day will come quietly, when someone hugs you and you don't pull away, or when you ask for help without the urge to apologize. That's the beginning of peace. Because the truth is, you were never a burden. You just grew up believing that love had limits. But it doesn't. And the moment you stop treating your existence like a debt to be repaid, you finally start to live it fully, not as a problem to be managed, but as a person worthy of care, belonging, and ease. And maybe, that's what real freedom feels like, not needing to earn your place in the world anymore. Just quietly knowing that you deserve to be here, exactly as you are.